All right. I want to go over some stuff tonight that I think that you've been asking about, and I've got some insight for you that's going to blow your mind. It really is going to blow your mind. So I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff about the half-cent sales tax. The last time that voters approved it, it was 2016, and so it's good for 10 years, and it is really a surtax, an infrastructure surtax, is the better alternative, right? So, whenever you consider public policy, right? Bernie, what do you think of the half-cent sales tax, the infrastructure surtax? Somebody who is trained and wise would ask a few questions. I got this from Thomas Sowell, by the way. He's a prolific author, an economist. He's pushing 90. It's got to be somebody tell me how old Thomas Sowell is. But he's amazing. He's one of the three people probably who influenced my philosophy the most over the past quarter of a century. And so what do you think of the half-cent sales tax? The first question, there's three real big ones that should always be asked. The first one is compared to what? All right? Compared to what? Because when it comes to government, there are no solutions as much as there are simply alternatives, trade-offs, really. So when you think about government fixing a problem, really, it's not a solution as much as it's a trade-off. So compared to what? Compared to raising ad valorem taxes, property taxes, it's the better choice, right? It's a half cent on everything you buy, and everybody pays it. It's the way to go. So there. So don't let anybody say Bernie's, against the infrastructure surtax. Not on principle. But the problem is what's the second question, right? The first question is compared to what? The second question is is it the proper role of government? And it is. This is what government should do. So, some libertarians would say, no, this should be all private. I get it. All right, I do. But the third question is, what's the hard evidence? What are the facts on the ground that it's been efficient? Well, we've got 10 years, 8 years, and it hasn't been. Now, if you look at the folks pushing for the approval of the half-cent sales tax, they're going to say there were 64 projects and $100 million. But I'll tell you what, the Beacon of Bay County has asked the right questions. What are those 64 projects? Like, what do we have to show for it? It really doesn't feel like Bay County, under the direction of the 5 commissioners and the county manager, Bob Micah, it really doesn't feel like a county that got more than $300 million, some say up to $600 million in FEMA money after Hurricane Michael. It really doesn't look like you've done a whole hell of a lot. It looks actually like many scores of millions of dollars are unaccounted for, actually. So we're going to take a look at all this stuff. I'm going to show you the proponents, what they're saying. I'm going to show you an incredible story about how do you know this is going to be used wisely? Well, we have a Citizen Oversight Committee. Wait till you hear about the Citizen Oversight Committee. You're not going to believe it. I'm doing something tonight that I have never done before. I'm launching something, and I'm excited about it. I've been so behind in answering messages. So many of you are eager to, fill me in on some stuff or just talk with me about public records. How do you make a public record request? Or, you've got an issue with a city, and what might be a good way to go about getting the city to help you. And I just haven't had time to do that. So here's what I'm doing. I am dedicating 6 hours a week to talk to you. So you can book a phone call with me. And this is going to help me with my little enterprise here. And it's also going to make it so that I am able to block off time, 30-minute call or a 60-minute call, to talk with you. It could be about anything. It could be about what camping stuff I like. I hope that's what it's about, actually. I hope somebody just wants to spend an hour talking about, camping gear and outdoor gear. But it could be about anything. It could be about an issue that's going on with the county's code enforcement. It could be about citizen journalism. It could be about anything. Almost anything. Within reason, okay? Those kind of calls are a lot more expensive. But 30-minute call or 60-minute call, 6 hours a week is what I'm dedicating to it, starting now. So you can book a call at calendly.com/Bernie Thompson. Calendly.com/Bernie Thompson. I am looking forward to it. This will get me communicating and helping this little enterprise. So it's on. Here we go. Who's going to be first? Now let's take a look at, should I tell you the story? Yeah, let's look at the Beacon of Bay County first. So there's a post today, and boy, is it hot. Leave it to Jody Moore. Here we go. Let's see if I can get this just right. So I want you to be able to read along. Is that as big as I can get this? I guess it is. Okay. So 6 hours ago, I think it's 6 hours ago, might have been a little bit longer. She posts on the Beacon of Bay County on Facebook, and she has these images here about the half-cent sales tax. And I'm going to go over these images. But first, let's look at the real questions that she asks. I'm sure you've seen the signs around town, the half-cent sales tax on the ballot in November. If I understand correctly, Bay Countyans voted for it in 2016. It will sunset in 2026 if we don't vote to renew. I think the theory is a good thing for Bay County. I'm pretty sure I voted for it, she says, in 2016. We all want better roads and infrastructure, but let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. On the infrastructure tax website, there's a frequently asked question button, but there's no answer really for what I want to know. How much money has been raised over the past 8 years? Now, that's a pretty simple question, right? I mean, that answer fits in a box. You can that's the thing about math, right? As opposed to what I went to college for, English and writing and politics. But you can put a math answer in a box. Simple answer. How much was raised with the half-cent sales tax, the infrastructure surtax in the past 8 years? The answers are skimpy, she says. I can't find an item from 2016 that stated an estimated 21 million per year would be raised from the half-cent sales tax. And I'll show you the screenshots. If that figure has held true, $168 million has been raised in the past 8 years. $168 million. Plus $42 million in matching grant money. That's $210 million. Okay. Now, we don't know. I don't know. And she's saying she's not positive, but that seems about right. But it's a simple question, so surely we'll get an answer tomorrow, right? The infrastructure site touts completed projects worth over $100 million. So they've done, they say, 64 projects and spent $100 million. That's how great it is. Where did the other $110 million go? Right? $210 million total. They've done $100 million. Where's the other $110 million? Apparently, there are more projects now underway for $32 million. That still leaves $78 million that I have not seen accounted for, she says. Am I missing something here? And by the way, if you know the answers, please put them in the comment section. I'm happy to have it explained to me if I'm getting this wrong. Apparently, the average person like me just doesn't get it. A recent WMBB news article quoted the Bay County Chamber president saying there hasn't been a lot of opposition to the tax. Any kind of opposition, says the chairman of the Bay County Chamber of Commerce. He said, I would kind of identify as people not understanding what it's all about, right? Remember, complexity masks fraud. Don't ever forget that. So she's invited the chairman. Wait till you hear who used to be the chairman in 2016. Wait till you hear this story I'm going to tell you in a moment. She's invited the chairman to come to the page or answer the questions. How much money has half-cent sales tax raised since it was voted in November of 2016? And why isn't that answer on the FAQ page? If $210 million in revenue and grants have been raised, what happened to the other $78 million? Right? There's a lot of unpaved roads in Bay County and others are crumbling. We don't need to forget in all this that Bay County has also seen millions of dollars flow in from FEMA as well, at least $300 million, much more, because of the damage from Hurricane Michael. The infrastructure site also touts oversight. That's what I'm going to talk with you about tonight, and you're not going to believe it. I've been told, she says, in Lynn Haven, $1 million fire truck, $1 million fire truck with all the bells and whistles. But is it infrastructure? A fire truck's not a road. It's not a pipe. Somehow it was justified. Where's the oversight there? Or am I wrong about the money being used to buy this fire truck? Was it not half-cent sales tax funding? I've been told this multiple times by multiple people. I'm happy to be corrected if I'm wrong, she says. In a county that has been referred to famously as more corrupt than New Jersey or New Orleans, I have a lot of concern, she says, continuing to funnel money to a government that at best does not use the money wisely and at worst uses it corruptly. When there are no consequences for bad behavior, people behave badly, she says. Now, who in the heck is going around saying that Bay County is more corrupt than New Jersey and New Orleans? Oh, just the FBI and the sheriff. This is from August 3rd, 2021. 3 days after Derwin White, the president of JC Contractors, passed away unexpectedly of COVID at the age of 55. As soon as Derwin passed away, the FBI, working jointly with Sheriff Tommy Ford, wanted to get in JC Contractors and get all the evidence because they said that he was the godfather. This is a term used by the sheriff's lead investigator, Jimmy Stanford, in an investigation report by the FBI. He was sort of called the godfather. You know, he was a political kingmaker, right? And I had heard, and it was stated, that he and JC Contractors was the big target of the big public corruption crackdown that never cracked down. But this is part of the search warrant affidavit that Special Agent Borghini told a federal magistrate judge to get the search warrant that they executed on JC Contractors only 5 days after Derwin White died. Okay, so Ashbrit is a national disaster hauling company, disaster relief company, okay? They came to Bay County after Hurricane Michael, and they were competing with another one called Crowder Gulf. Here's what the FBI told the magistrate judge in 2021 with the help of the sheriff's investigators. Crowder Gulf did not need Derwin White's influence with local public officials or connections to conduct their cleanup operations. Thereafter, Crowder Gulf had nothing to do with Derwin White or GAC Contractors. Instead, by the way, Ashbrit did. Crowder Gulf's director of operations further advised that in his career, he had never seen anything like Bay County. He had worked, and he's talking specifically about the county commissioners, about Lynn Haven Michael White, about Bay District Schools, about the deals that JC Contractors were doing with this big company, Ashbrit. He had worked cleanup operations following Hurricane Sandy in New Jersey, Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, and a number of other major disasters over the years. Bay County was more corrupt than any of those places. That is what the FBI, with the help of Sheriff Ford's investigators, told a magistrate judge in 2021. So that's the first area of concern that I think anybody ought to have when we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of infrastructure money. I mean, am I right or wrong?
Strong, effective leadership. 3 words that could mean the difference between prison and your freedom. I'm Al Saulene, your Panama City Beach lawyer. 850-215-0628.
Don't let back pain and neck pain get you down. Find relief at Brown Chiropractic Center on St. Andrews Boulevard in Panama City. Dr. Sherry Brown helps people heal naturally with chiropractic adjustments and deep tissue massage. Call 769-3777. So let's take a look at some of these screenshots that have been put up by the Beacon of Bay County's Facebook page. Okay. All right. So this is what the website looks like. Your half-cent sales tax, our community, our future. Every dollar stays in Bay County. Let's take a look at some of these. Look at that. 64 completed projects over the past 8 years, it touts. 20 projects under construction design worth $32 million. $42 million in additional funds collected via grants. It's a lot of money. Let's see a few of these other screenshots. What does the surtax support? Well, increased neighborhood safety and pedestrian paths. They want that money for the pedestrian paths. Joe Biden's paths across America, the multi-use pathways where they want to use eminent domain to take people's property on Front Beach Road and along in Panama City Beach and along Beach Drive in the beautiful scenic area of Beach Drive in Panama City. First thing they put up there, construction of sidewalks near schools, reduction of flooding, reduction of traffic congestion, improvements of local roads and bridges. Now, let me ask you this, all right? They just touted that they had done 64 projects, spent $100 million in the past 8 years. And one of the things that they say they focus on is stormwater improvement. Due to Bay County's proximity to sea level, much of our county is prone to flooding. To help prevent and reduce some of this flooding, the county has identified portions of existing drainage systems that need to be updated to better alleviate flooding, including expanding culverts and replacing old and outdated drainage pipes. Now, ask yourself this. They've had this for 8 years. The surtax, the half-cent surtax. Is flooding better or worse since the half-cent sales tax was voted in? $168 million or whatever it is that they've collected so far. You know, we just recently had some pretty big rains, and this was Lynn Haven. Roads currently underwater, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 roads currently underwater. Poor Lynn Haven. You look at Panama City. They're due to alerts that they hide from you. These are emails you have to sign up for, and you get them from the Department of Environmental Protection. And it shows in Panama City how often, sometimes millions of gallons, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of gallons of sewage, raw sewage, ends up going into the water. have the people who promised 8 years ago that we would have improvements when it comes to stormwater, we would have improvements when it comes to traffic, have things gotten better or worse in the past 8 years? This is unbelievable. Again, the infrastructure surtax is the best way for government to fund needed infrastructure projects. The alternative is raising ad valorem taxes, higher property taxes. That's a bad idea, right? But it's also a bad idea to reward people here who are more corrupt than the people in New Jersey and New Orleans. At the very least, things have gotten worse, not better. At the very worst, the money's been stolen. I mean, they've got a hell of a lot of nerve to say that people who are opposed to it are just, misinformed. Because this is very complex. And we have, are you ready for this? This is what I can't wait to show you. We have an oversight committee. Look at this. How do I know my money will be wisely spent? Well, a Citizens Oversight Committee comprised of, by the way, that's bad grammar. It's never comprised of. It should say composed of. Composed of local business and community leaders serves as an additional layer of protection to ensure added transparency and accountability to taxpayers. All right. The Oversight Committee comprises local business and community leaders, but the Oversight Committee is composed of, all right, enough of that. Seriously, it's true. Never ever comprised of. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at the history of the Citizens Oversight Committee after this was the half-cent sales tax was voted in by the people in 2016. You're not going to believe this.
You want to look good? You want to feel good? Little John's Big and Tall is where it's at. Right across the street from Sky's Pizza Pie, 5700 North Davis Highway. You can find out more online at littlejohnsbigandtall.com. He's also a member of the iTex trading community, where your iTex dollars are welcome.
So our little story here is about this guy. It's about Doug Moore. Let's take a better look. All right. So Doug Moore is currently the vice chairman of the Bay County Commission. And I'm just going to read this to you. It's not very long. Doug Moore represents Bay County's District 4, which encompasses most of unincorporated Bay County. Doug graduated from the University of Georgia in 1990 with a bachelor's degree in business administration and finance. From Campbell University's Norman Adrian Wiggins School of Law in 2006 with a Juris Doctorate. And from the Graduate School of Banking at Louisiana State University in 2014. Doug has been very active and committed to the Bay County community through his involvement with the local civic, and community organizations. All right. He's the chairman of the board, the Bay County Chamber of Commerce. That's where he was in, I know, at least 2016. He was the Military Affairs Committee chairman, Bay Defense Alliance board member, Bay Arts Alliance board member, and finance chair. Certified Crown and Ramsey financial counselor. So our story will have everything to do with Doug Moore. All right. Let's take a look. So in 2016, the surtax must be voted in by residents. It cannot be imposed by the Bay County Commission. So citizens rejected it. I believe they rejected it in 2008. But they voted it in 2016. So shortly after that, Doug Moore became, I'm going to make this easier for you to follow along here. All right. So the voters approved the half-cent infrastructure surtax in 2016. And the Bay County Commission created a Citizen Oversight Committee. Doug Moore, who at the time had just been the chairman of the Bay County Chamber of Commerce. Well, after voters voted in the half-cent sales tax, he became the chairman of the Citizen Oversight Committee. And he did that from March 2017 until January 31st, 2019. So the Oversight Committee gave recommendations, but they did more than that, actually. They were more than just they did more than just provide oversight. They actually, I made some notes here. I'm going to go through some of this with you. The Oversight Committee, see, each one of the county commissioners pick a member, and then the chamber picks one as well. And this Oversight Committee that Doug Moore was the chairman of is not simply a fact-checking board like most of these committees are. It's actually an approval board. Put a pin in that. It's actually an approval board as well. You got the dates here? This is before he was on the county commission. This county commission seat that he currently sits in, Keith Baker was the county commissioner. All right. So Bay County, on December 7th, right after Hurricane Michael 2018, Bay County chooses CDR McGuire as its disaster recovery consulting services company. CDR McGuire would get tens of millions of dollars to advise the county commissioners on FEMA. Are you ready for this? 11 days after the county commissioners, Doug Moore was not on the county commission at the time, created the oversight committee, or they had already done that. 11 days after they awarded CDR McGuire, the big national company, to be its FEMA consultant, CDR McGuire hires Doug Moore. Let's take a look at CDR McGuire. So CDR McGuire wins the contract. They're the big giant company. Look at this. CDR McGuire, emergency management. Now, those two guys look a hell of a lot like, to me, like Griff. Remember the photo of Griff when he was running for office for state rep, and he was wearing a hat like that along with, I always forget the other guy's name, Ashton Norton. Is that them? I don't know if it is or not. So they're an emergency management company, national. They got the big contract. And as soon as they got the contract, Doug Moore is hired by CDR McGuire. You following me? So on December 18, CDR McGuire, the day after they get the contract, CDR McGuire, or 11 days after, CDR McGuire is a consultant now that hires Doug Moore as a consultant. Now, the very next day, Doug Moore is named as the subject matter expert and community liaison for this national emergency management company that got tens of millions of dollars to consult on FEMA. So at the very same time, in December 2018, Doug Moore was a consultant for the giant national FEMA consultant. He was also the county's subject matter expert and liaison, community liaison. And he was also, at the very same time, the chairman of the Citizens Oversight Committee. This is why when Doug Moore ran for the county commission seat, I was telling you every day that he's got conflicts of interest. He's got his hands in every cookie jar. So in 2020, on June 23rd, the sheriff arrests County Commissioner Keith Baker. And Keith Baker is removed from the county commission. So there's an empty seat. Any guesses what happens? Sheriff Ford pushes for Doug Moore in a special election to replace Keith Baker. And Doug Moore wins a 5-person race by 0.5%. Every single day, basically, if you go back and look, I was posting and shouting from the rooftops that Doug Moore was a Citizen Surtax Oversight Chairman right after Hurricane Michael. At the same time, he was the county's subject matter expert late December 2018 and community liaison, deciding who gets what and where and connecting people after Hurricane Michael. At the very same time, he is hired by the National CDR McGuire Company, the FEMA advising company, that got tens and tens of millions of dollars from the county. He's also their consultant. So he would advise the county. At the same time, he's the community liaison subject matter expert for the county. At the same time, he's going up representing the National FEMA Consultant Company to the county at the county commission meetings. All right. So I was telling you this every day. And the race was very, very tight. And there were 2 people in the lead. A guy named Chris Whitaker, who Derwin White really wanted in there. That was really concerning to Sheriff Ford and his folks because they didn't want Derwin White's guy in there. They wanted their guy in there. And their guy was Doug Moore. How do I know? I'll tell you. So 3 weeks before the election, I get a call from, at the time, my good friend, the number 2, the undersheriff. And he comes and he sees me. And he tells me I'm barking up the wrong tree. Those were his words, barking up the wrong tree. Doug Moore. I said, wait, what are you talking about, man? Don't you see all this stuff? He's been vetted by the FBI. He's good to go. Oh. So he's going to help expose all the corruption? I never said another word about Doug Moore 3 weeks before the election, and he won by 0.5%. So when I tell you the sheriff was pushing for Doug Moore after arresting Keith Baker and removing him, I am telling you that's what happened. All right. So Doug Moore is now, as I pointed out, the vice chairman of the Bay County Commission, and again, the disaster subject matter expert and community liaison in the event of a disaster. So this whole surtax, this whole half-cent surtax, and the until we can get an answer that fits in a box, meaning a number, how much money has been raised by the surtax since it went into effect it was voted in at the end of 2016. How much money has it raised? And then you add the grants. What's the total? We need to know that number. Then we need to know, based on the Half-Cent Surtax website that the advocates pushing for it, they say 64 projects have been completed, valued at more than $100 million. We need to know exactly what those projects were and how much each one of them cost. Pretty simple, right? It's public money. It's taxpayer money. And we need to be able to look at that stuff and evaluate it. And we need to ask, or at least get good answers, as to why if stormwater improvement has been a priority for the half-cent surtax the last 8 years, why are things so much worse now than they were then? Second, we don't have a lot of confidence knowing how you did that last time. I mean, yeah, we don't have a lot of confidence in that at all. I wanted to kind of introduce you to some of the questions and concerns, and also tell you the truth that compared to other ways of funding infrastructure with local government, a surtax is indeed the best way. But I think reasonable people can have valid concerns when they can't get simple answers that should fit in little boxes from the people pushing this, and the response from the people pushing this that we just don't understand. You're right, we don't, because we can't see the information. Show us the information. That it is a very complex thing, and we have high-level experts and subject matter experts and community liaisons and bankers and consultants advising us. We understand that complexity masks fraud. There are a lot of questions that need to be answered, and I wanted just to start this sort of conversation and see if we get any answers as the election nears. Because according to the website here, let me show you this. According to this, it says in that little space there, when will voters decide? Voters first approved the surtax on November 8, 2016 by a margin of greater than 10%. Renewal of the surtax will appear on the ballot in the general election on November 5th, 2024. So it's coming up in about 3 weeks. Early voting will take place from October 21st through November 2nd. You can find your polling place at bayvotes.org. All right. So there you go. Am I right? I mean, if you have any of these answers, right, or if you know where the answers can be found, please put it in the comment section and I will look it up. And I also want to remind you about this. Get a paid subscription at bernie.substack.com, and now you will get behind-the-scene videos emailed to your inbox, and you're liable to see just about anything. Get out! Don't get out, keep that. What's going on? So I've got less than 2 days to get it all together. I'm nervous because I've never done anything like this before. Nighttime and hot. Another red light. Yellow flies. Okay, he's dead.
Since White Light Council thing.
Yes, that's what they are. They're like the great whites of the insect world.
Right on my arm.
And again, if you didn't catch the beginning of the show, I'm starting something. Just launching it tonight. So I'm so behind in catching up with some of you, with everybody actually, that I am blocking off 6 hours a week to meet with people. You can book a phone call with me, 30-minute call or an hour call. And these are kind of at a premium, honestly, because I don't want to do more than 6 hours a week. You can book a 60-minute call or a 30-minute call at calendly.com/Bernie Thompson. And it can be about anything. If you want to know what equipment I use to do a podcast, if you want to know about citizen journalism, if you want to know about how to do public record requests, if you want to share with me information about what the county's doing that maybe I don't know, this is a great way to get my full attention at calendly.com. You can see it there in red, calendly.com/Bernie Thompson. Also, of course, I want to thank those of you who throw a tip in the tip jar at patreon.com. I couldn't do it without you. As little as $5 a month. Thank you, patrons. And you can do it too at patreon.com/Bernie Thompson. It's anonymous, it's easy, and you can quit at any time. And of course, got to thank, there he is, the Unknown Patriot. I want to thank the Unknown Patriot for supporting this show as well, so I can continue to bring this to you. All right, I've got lots more coming for you, and I'm going to try to gather as much information about the surtax, but I think the reasonable questions are, they claim 64 projects. What are they? $100 million spent on the projects. Can you break that down for us? And it seems like there's about there's more than $100 million that you're not accounting for, at least not on the sales literature, on the sales brochures, right, to the voters. So it would be really nice to see all that. The other things for me are, if stormwater is a priority over the past 8 years, things are worse, not better. And if roads and traffic are a priority over the past 8 years, things are worse, not better. These are legitimate questions that I think people deserve an answer to. All right, with that, I'm out of here, and I will see you soon.